yourself a suit and tie and get your hair cut way up high. Get yourself a lawyer, son. You're gonna need a real good one.
Here he is, our real good lawyer. David Whiting is back with you, 1300 222 774. And most unusually, there are some lines free. What? Come on, give us a call, because you invariably never get this wonderful, informed, free advice from the man who knows almost everything. Almost everything. David, good morning.
Good morning. So I tipped you off. I had some homework from last week. I don't have answers
We're about to find some lacunae in your knowledge.
Yes, indeed.
What are the gaps? What did we not manage to solve?
The first one was James from Eltham, and James had an issue with a tree, and council won't give him a permit to pull the tree down.
Yep.
And so what are his rights? And there'll be a local law that says you can't pull down significant trees. Answer is he makes an application for a planning permit is the short answer. And given that the council will be, because I wanted to look at some VCAT decisions about highly sensitive or cultural trees, the answer is you can still get a permit. It's not very easy, but it's not always impossible.
Is the tree dangerous, damaging, diseased?
No, it might be that he wants it. I think there's a concern about damage to his roof.
Yep.
The bit that I can't work out, though, is how can I force you as my neighbour to get a permit when it's your tree and its branches over my house? I don't see what the solution is there, because you can't get a planning permit for someone else's property.
No, but I can cut off those branches that are over my house, can't I?
You may not be able to, if depending upon the local laws in the council area about trees.
No, I thought at least that over the property thing that you and I always discuss might stand.
That's the general principle, but if you destabilise the tree, you might be responsible. And of course, if it's a tree that you need a permit to prune, then that's just another complication. Okay,
so sort of solved. Next one?
The next one was a lady who lives in Australia. Her husband lives overseas. And the question is, what's her Centrelink entitlement?
Right.
He's overseas and working full-time, doesn't make a great deal of money. You know, you see that from time to time in migrant families. One comes over here to get permanent residence and the other stays overseas and continues to work. Been knocked back for Centrelink. And I think the answer will be it's probably an income issue, and they also own a property over there.
Right.
So there are issues. It's really a question of looking at the Centrelink entitlements. If you're a couple where one lives in the country, another doesn't live in the country, and then there are the property ownership issues.
Okay. And the next one?
The final one, I put in a request to VCAT but don't have an answer yet. A number of parties had booked a holiday, and they put in a group claim to VCAT. It got rejected. They made individual claims. Some of them have already been heard several months ago and
this
fully
is about
resolved.
A refund?
Yeah, for refunds.
Yep.
But this particular lady lodged her claim in December and hasn't heard boo.
Poof.
So I've made an inquiry. I'm waiting for a response. So Leonie has to wait. I'm sorry.
There's some advice coming through on text for what to do with the tree. And no, I will not be reading that out. You can imagine what people are suggesting.
Yes, I'm sure.
We're not party to that sort of behaviour. But would you like to spin your wheels for a bit, David? Because Greg in Indented Head has, I think, exactly the same problem, or almost exactly the same, as the one that you've been discussing. Greg, go ahead. Good morning.
Yeah, morning, David. Your homework, I think, has partially answered it. So a friend of mine in Seddon, it's a street where all the houses are squashed up against each other. Mm-hmm. She's had structural damage for the last 12 months. She's appointed an engineer to do a report, but that aside, the next door neighbour's got a massive eucalypt, and we think the root system is causing the damage. She's spoken to them, but they're not interested in doing anything about it. How would you proceed?
A magistrate's court is where you would need to go. It's an action to restrain a nuisance, an action to have them remove their roots and pull them off the property.
Right. Okay.
But even then, Greg, the other unponderable or unresolved in this one is, let's assume that I bought the house next door and the trees are already under your friend's house. Am I liable for the damage caused by the trees at a time when I didn't own them? Don't have the answer to that. Point. But I will. But in terms of your friend's issue, it is a magistrate's court claim. It's framed in nuisance, and you want to restrain a continuing nuisance, which is the encroachment of the tree roots.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope that helps, Greg. Good on you. Thanks so much. James in St Kilda West. James, how can we help?
Oh, hello. G'day, David. My name's James Edwards. I have a sister-in-law that lives in a country town, and my sister has received a letter from a local council that it intends to compulsory acquire part of her property to build a roundabout.
Yes.
Where Vic roads intersect with the council roads.
Yep.
There was no consultation about the roundabout. She has only learned of this from a letter from council 3 days prior to a vote to be taken. My questions to you, David, are: what rights does she have if council votes to go ahead? How is the value of the part of the property that council acquires determined? Her garden and so on is very important to her, and she's got a beautiful property. What if the extent of change is such, because it will bring road traffic closer.
James, let me
to her bedrooms and so on.
Here's the way it works. If it's an intersection of a council road and a
Vic Roads,
regional roads, Victoria now, it is likely have been a long period of negotiation as to whether it's necessary or not. Can I tell you that the council wouldn't get a roundabout unless regional roads said it was appropriate? If it's a council initiative, then I would be talking to your councillors. But I would have also suggested that there will be lots of other people who are responding to the same councillors who probably want it. But you could agitate with your local ward, or she could agitate with the ward councillors now. The next thing that in terms of valuation, the valuer will be appointed by council. You do not have to agree with the valuation. It's possible for your sister to get a new valuation. And there's also a concept called injurious affection. So so we might say in the town in question, we might value the land at a particular amount per square metre, but there'll be a injurious affection. The balance of the property will be diminished in value because the road will be closer, because she's lost her garden, all of those things.
Yep.
So there is. So let's. I've seen one in the Northeast Link where there's a compensation difference between a voluntary sale and a compulsory acquisition. Compulsory acquisitions, you get the injurious affection, the diminishment in quality of life that you get from the taking of part of your property. So damages for garden and all the rest of it. So there are lawyers who do this all the time. And I would at least be getting a second valuation, and as the general principle, the costs of the second valuation will be paid by the acquiring authority.
Okay, James?
Yeah, could I just ask just one thing further?
Very
that
quickly.
I know I haven't got much time.
Yep.
What if the extent of the change is such, because it will bring road traffic closer to bedrooms in an old house, that she no longer wants to live there? Would the council be obligated to pay the cost of her moving?
No.
And stamp duty to the purchase of another property?
If you like, the drop in quality of her home will be compensated by the injurious affection claim. If she should then choose to sell, I mean, I wouldn't be telling them I'm going to sell, because that will reduce the amount of your compensation.
Okay, good luck to your friend James. David in Melbourne. David, how can we help? Go ahead.
Yeah, good morning. Straight to the point. I own an automotive repair business. I was doing some work on a classic type car. The owner has died. He has got no next of kin. The car's been sitting here for 8 months.
Wow.
And I don't know what to do with it.
I'll take it. What is
Estate
it?
trustee?
No, me. What sort of car is it, David?
It's a Falcon. It's a Falcon XAGT Falcon.
Oh, okay. No, I know this classic car, but I'll pass. So over to you, David.
No, not for me.
Not for me either, no.
Not for you either?
No.
Well, it's not for me either.
David, I would be telling state trustees you've got the car.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So if all I know is the date he was born and the date he's died. That's all I've got.
Do you know, what I want you to do is look at the Supreme Court website, supremecourt.vic.gov.au.
Yes.
Go to the right-hand side and look at wills and probate.
Yes.
Look at making a probate application, and in there's a process for searching advertisements. So if you've got his full name and much of his name, you'll be able to see if someone has made an application to administer his estate. Do you know if he owned his own home?
Yes, he did own his own home.
Well, that someone will have stuck their hand up to deal with that property.
Yeah.
So
the only problem I've got, I know where the home was. I've been there, but the real estate agent won't tell me anything.
I understand that.
I don't trust the real estate agent. You do this yourself.
That's right.
Yeah, do it yourself. So Supreme Court website, what you want to do is search a probate advertisement in Victoria. You can search applications, which just tells you whether or not a grant of probate's been made, but isn't very helpful. The search the advertisement is excellent, and you put in his name as you know it, and it will tell you if someone's made an application. That will tell you who's made the application, and will give you their contact details.
Okay, that's great. Thanks very much.
Pleasure.
David, how much is that car worth? Have you had a look online?
Oh,
Roughly?
well, they say they sell for 150.
She's interested now, David.
Yeah, I'm interested now. Yeah. Okay, well, maybe you can drive it round this way. Just leave it out the front of South Bank, all right?
And it'll probably get about 18 miles per gallon, if that.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, but I could I could live in it if I needed to.
Yes.
They're enormous, aren't they?
Yes.
Absolutely enormous. Wow, how about that? 1300 222 774 is the number. Paula in Carnegie. Good morning, Paula. What's the problem?
Oh, good morning. We are owners of a unit in a block that's got about 25 units it's around the Carnegie area. Mm-hmm. We have a tenant that's causing huge disturbances ongoing for months now. He has mental health issues and he's very aggressive. He steals the electricity from the block by running a cable through. He collects rubbish.
Goodness.
It's absolutely untenable for the people that live close to him. And there's a lot of single females there, and they're very scared of him. Now, we have tried, he's been placed there by a community group, so the owner of the unit has given over the rights to place someone to this community group.
Yes.
And the estate agent that manages it as well, we've addressed all of them. We've spoken to all of them.
There's a charity
which
is the tenant.
Yes.
And there is this person who is the occupant.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. We've contacted people like the police on multiple occasions. They've come and they've taken him away sometimes. We've contacted council, local member, the estate agent, the community group. We've had lots of dealings with all of them. Nobody's doing anything. People are very scared, and it's like hours and hours during the night. They're not getting sleep. The tenants are not able to work because they're so tired from not sleeping. We just want to know, how do we go about doing something because we're on the committee. How do we go about doing something about this? Like, if we went to VCAT, who do we take to VCAT of those people?
Well, if you were going to VCAT, there's a lot of analysis that needs to go into this, Paula, but a VCAT application would be, I would have thought, to what's called the guardianship list. And the question is whether or not somebody needs to be put in charge of this person to determine whether or not it's appropriate for him to continue to live in a community with that level of behaviour, whether there might be some other form of accommodation which he's better suited to.
Oh, complex, though, having to go down that path.
Well, you don't have the right as the owner's corporation to terminate his tenancy.
No.
You've got no right to do that. So your only issue is some of the people in the block might consider whether an intervention order application is appropriate if they're anxious or terrified as a consequence of what he's doing.
They're frightened even about that, though, because then he'll know, they're scared because they've got their own mental health issues, some of them, so they're very delicate people already, and they're scared that if they do anything that he, that some of them don't even want to call the police.
The owner's corporation. You couldn't bring an intervention order application, but you could come along and say, he's not safe living in this community. Somebody needs to make a decision about where it's safe for him and for other people.
Okay, so that's where the conversation's
Yes.
had? Okay, good luck with that, Paula. Libby in Ivanhoe. Hi, Libby, what's going on?
Hi, good morning. I'm a solo parent with an 8-month-old, and he's recently been diagnosed with a chromosomal disorder and epilepsy. And his epilepsy requires emergency medication and a management plan. And this all happened in the throes of finding childcare. Sorry. And
Libby, I can well understand the pressure you're under right now. Don't worry, just take a breath. You're just talking to me, and we'll see if we can get a solution for you. We're listening.
I mean, childcare is very difficult to find places regardless of, a condition.
Yep.
But I guess I'm a bit stuck because I had a place lined up and I've just moved house as well in the throes of this diagnosis. So it's all in the last couple of months. And the verbal arrangement, I guess, when I did the tour and took the place was, yes, staff will do the training and it's not a problem. And when I turned up for orientation last week, the staff weren't really aware of his condition, didn't sit down with me to talk through anything. And then when I requested to sit down and talk through everything with the management, they said they can't do it till November. And, I was due to leave him there with them the next day, which I can't do that because his medication requires a trained person.
Yes.
So I pulled out and called the head office because it's a
group. They have multiple.
Group. And,
yes.
Yeah, and they said, "Oh, we're sorry. We'll find out why this training hasn't happened." And I didn't hear from them last week, and so I put in an email in writing to both the location and also the head office. The position I'm in, the fact that I'm due to go back to work, we rely on my income. And this, I wasn't alerted that the training couldn't happen until November, until the day.
So what you've got, Libby, is that your allegation essentially is that he's been denied a place because of his disability.
Well, yeah, they're saying it's fine, but I don't feel comfortable that he can go there.
But ultimately that's a decision which will be taken by somebody other than you.
Yeah.
Now, so someone without your empathy for your child or a proper understanding, without the same understanding as you've got, might make a different assessment as to whether their approach is reasonable or unreasonable.
Yeah.
So you could make a claim to Human Rights Commission to say he's been denied a place because of his liability, but what you're now saying is they haven't denied the... So that's where you would take it.
Yeah, okay.
On the basis of the being denied the space because of the disability. But you're also telling me two slightly different things. They need to have somebody trained or they don't need to have somebody trained is something that someone else will probably need to assess.
Yeah, it's with the school system, they're mandated, but with childcare, they're not just recommended.
No.
Which I don't understand. But,
no, that doesn't make any sense at all. There's no mandated requirement there for there to be a certain
they're
level of training?
mandated to give me their medication policy, but
Yep.
They can say, look, we can't do the training, so it's up to you. And so I'm in this, I guess, position where
cliff stick.
Yeah, it's awkward.
It's a lot
of
admin to run around and find a place.
And of course, they're not flat out denying Libby a place, just saying no, hang on, we haven't done it yet. Just wait a minute. So, is there any gentle pressure that can be brought to bear? Do you think, David, given that it would be discriminatory of the childcare centre to say no, we can't have him? Any pressure that can be brought to bear that won't sour the relationship, the ongoing relationship she'll need to have with the centre? What can you think?
I can't think of any. to me, it's a human rights issue. But I would be, if I was going to run that argument, I'd be running it with head office rather than with the people who'd be providing day-to-day care.
Keep the pressure on head office and just be as charming as you possibly can, and you're still waiting and da-da-da, and you can get your GP to speak to them about the training they need, and, it's reasonably straightforward. Just need to sit down for half an hour and just keep that pressure on, Libby.
Yeah. Okay.
David, you can't think of anything else?
No, that's really...
But make the call to the Human Rights Commission, and maybe they've got a pathway or a channel they can use, because it would be discriminatory of the Childcare Centre, and it will ultimately, they're on the brink of it being discriminating if they're not, in a timely manner, making that offered place available to you in the way that it should be, i.e. with people standing by ready to actually give the medication. That does amount to that exclusion.
You'd also, logically, though, Virginia needs several people at the organisation, at the centre, trained.
That's right, in case someone's
otherwise
sick
you
on the
can't
day.
go, if the training is a requirement,
that's right,
and the staff member takes holidays, there's no space.
Yeah, and this is why, they're in a position where they say we just can't manage it. They've got.
But they haven't said that yet, have
anyway.
they? They haven't said yet we can't manage it. We won't
We've
manage it.
We've just said not till November. That's what they've said at the moment.
Yeah, they've said no, we can't get the training in because it's not part of the basic first aid. It's unique training. So
All right. Keep us informed, Libby, and maybe that call to the Victorian Human Rights Commission will help.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. I think we can just squeeze one more in before we actually finish today. Daniel in Rokewood. Daniel, go ahead.
G'day, guys. I've just got a question. I've got a property, and the property behind me has now been subdivided into, I think it's 4 lots.
Yes.
And the one lot on the corner, the fence is starting to fall down. We've put it's a bar of wood and stuff to hold the fence up. I want to put a fencing notice on it, and I was wondering, am I able to do that while it's up for sale? And
yes, in fact, you get a better chance of getting a good outcome while it's up for sale, because you're going to, because if I wouldn't want to buy a property that had a fencing notice on it, I would require the vendor to deal with it. So yes, council might give you the details of the owner. You might pretend you want to buy it and ask for a Section 32 statement with the details of the owner and serve the fencing notice on the current owner. Much better outcome.
Good on you, David. Thanks so much. Libby, if you're still listening, if you're calling in, this on text, call the Department of Education and Training Early Childhood Performance and Planning Advisor. So that actually does seem to, in that one title, bring together all the elements she's speaking about, which is early childhood education, training, performance and planning. Okay, so that's the name of the Department of Education and Training, Early Childhood Performance and Planning Advisor, and you may be able to get some assistance there.